I lost my older brother Jason to cancer back in 2013. He left this world on a mission to make it a better place as an environmental scientist. Now, it took me a while to evolve into an understanding of what his mission was, and that climate change is very real. And thankfully, there's lots of people still left here on Earth that are fighting for us, fighting for change, fighting for us to live in a more sustainable world. Good morning. This is Wake Up Well. I'm very grateful today for my guest, Marci Zaroff, who is an eco-lifestyle entrepreneur, an educator, an innovator who has championed organic and sustainable fashion and introduced initiatives into Whole Foods, Target, and Bed Bath & Beyond. She is the creator of her own line of sustainable brands as the CEO of ecofashion core, including Meadowwear, Farm to Home, and Yes and. Please welcome Marci Zaroff, a true boss babe in every sense of the word.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Laura. I started my career in food and beauty, and so when I kind of had the epiphany that you can't really support one part of the wellness equation without the others, that's when I really launched into this category of fashion and textiles, coined and trademarked the term eco-fashion, started my first brand under the canopy, and had a lot of resistance because people thought, these are two completely dichotomous worlds. People who are into fashion are not the same people who are into ecology or the environment or humanitarianism or consciousness or wellness. And I was like, wait a minute, but I'm that person. So I've spent a lot of my career and a lot of years, bridging the fashionista with the tree hugger or the tribe in the boardroom and changing the world of style while styling the world of change.
Do you see a difference from then to now in the last 20 some years?
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, the early years, there were really three stigmas to this movement. As soon as I would say organic fashion or sustainable fashion or eco fashion, people looked at me cross-eyed because the idea, that eco fashion could be stylish. People's perception of eco fashion is, crunchy, frumpy, boxy, beige, boring, made from hemp that is super scratchy, potato sack. Can you smoke it after you wear it? A lot of that question was probably asked repeatedly in the first decade of my career. And then the second stigma was really, can I afford this? I mean, even if I like it, isn't it, way out of reach for me, too expensive because, all those added costs to make it sustainable. And then the third stigma was, how do I really know, right? Because, when you looked at the food side, and we spent a lot of years, I did come out of the food industry. We spent a lot of years working on getting standards in place so that there would be a recognized seal, which is what people today, know of the organic movement. They see the USDA organic food seal. And that is a federally regulated program, right? So the National Organic Program, which oversees the organic brand in America. So, to me, my mantra was always, how do I break every one of those stigmas to, go back to what you asked, to co-create a stylish, sexy, and sustainable world that's all about no compromise, where you can have style, color, fit, comfort, hand, price, and, oh, by the way, also certified organic, ethically made, low impact dyed, recycled, fair trade, and all the yummy stuff.
So what was your why? Why did you start this?
Started my career in 1990. I co-founded a school known today as the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So there are over 100,000 certified health coaches, and that started out of my apartment. I was doing a lot of work in the early stages of the organic and natural foods and product industry. I was very, very proactive in sort of wellness education. And I stumbled upon cotton really from the lens of agriculture. I was dear friends with, people running the Rodale Institute. They are oftentimes recognized as the pioneers of the organic movement in America. They coined the term organic. And so when I learned about, the methodologies of organic and the fact that crop rotation is so fundamental to our organic agriculture, and that cotton is actually an important crop in the rotation, and 60% of a cotton plant goes into the food stream, right? So for cottonseed oil, for bread and snack foods, and then for dairy products, the feed, right? So when I started to see that interconnection in agriculture, I dove deeper into the why of cotton, and I started to learn, like, whoa, a third of the fiber that people wear on their bodies or use in their sheets and towels and home textiles as well are made from cotton. And then if cotton is the most heavily sprayed industry in agriculture and one of the most toxic with the most carcinogenic chemicals, it started to sort of dawn on me that you can't be half pregnant. You're either understanding, sustainability and soil health and choosing to vote with your dollars on the things that you put in your body. But ultimately, it was very clear to me that, we have to look at through an agricultural lens, as well as the skin is the largest organ, in our body and our primary organ for absorption. So what we put in our body is very important, but so is what we put on our body. And when I started to kind of unveil the human and environmental impacts of both the cotton industry as well as the fashion industry as a whole, I was like, whoa, this is something I need to take on. And I rolled my sleeves up, and that's when I coined the term eco-fashion. And my mentor for 25 plus years was the founder of Aveda, so Horst Rechelbacher. So I had watched what Horst was doing to revolutionize the personal care industry. And I said, you know what? That's what I want to do in the fashion world. I want to literally turn it upside down, shift the paradigm to demonstrate that you can give, fashion consumers what they want in the way of style and quality and design, leading with design, which was Horst's mantra as well. Lead, at a visceral level, drive with aesthetics, and then add value by, giving people a way to make a difference to human and environmental wellness, farmer and worker welfare, and future generations. You can look good, feel good, and do good in the world.
Yeah, I absolutely think that people forget that it's not just what you consume or the products that you put on your hair or the skincare products that you use, but it's also what you put on your body, what you sleep on, and it all gets absorbed into the skin. Have there been studies done about this?
So I'm on the board of the Organic Center for Research and Education, which is the science arm of the Organic Trade Association, which is essentially the main trade organization that drives policy and media work for the U.S. organic industry, a $55+ billion industry. So the Organic Center, we're doing a study in conjunction with the Organic Fiber Council, which is the fiber division of the OTA, to determine what are the health ramifications from all the chemicals that are going into the growing and the sewing and processing of a finished textile product. People have no idea. When you look at cotton as a perfect example, and you actually, pull the curtain back and you look at the magnitude and multitude of chemicals going into a cotton textile, and as you mentioned, a bed sheet, a t-shirt, your jeans, your jacket, your robe, your towels, it's astronomical, and they're quite toxic. So not only, is it conventional cotton sprayed with, the chemical cocktail and pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, and less than 3% of the world's agriculture is cotton, but over 20% of the most harmful chemicals, insecticides, are used on cotton. And so when you look at, how can you look good and feel good and do good in the world, then you really have to look at organic cotton, because as you then move it up the supply chain, cotton is produced using chlorine bleach. It's often dyed and finished using heavy metals, acetones, optical brighteners, and even formaldehyde. So, all the way through to the finished product, everything that's put in and on top of the fiber, not to mention the fiber itself from a systemic level, is toxic. You're putting that on your skin. I've seen in the course of my career, I've met people and seen, case studies of people that cannot wear anything or use any textiles that aren't certified organic for that very reason, because a third of our population today has chemical sensitivities, and over 70 million Americans have asthma and allergies. And when you look at the, amount of chemicals going into textiles, don't discount the fact that it's not just our environment, it's not just what we're putting in our bodies, but again, what we're putting on our bodies.
Yeah, I definitely believe that for sure. Tell me about the fashion industry in general and the impact that the sort of fast fashion has on the environment.
Yeah. So fast fashion has really propelled this, proliferation of fashion and textile waste, right? So it used to be, even when I started, there were maybe 4 seasons a year, right? And that was kind of standard for the industry. I mean, it started probably 2 seasons a year, spring, summer versus fall, winter. And then, kind of broke up into 4. Well, fast fashion, all of a sudden, there were 52 plus seasons a year. There's a new collection every week. And all that does is it creates added energy use, added water use, added chemical use, very poor social justice, and very serious unsafe working conditions. Farmers and workers got crammed down to be able to justify the kind of pricing models that a lot of these fast fashion retailers were putting in place. So you saw factories and farmers that couldn't even put food on the table because their livelihoods were so so upended and pushed down to where like a factory worker could make $35 a month, the equivalent of that, right? So really poor conditions, and definitely not fair trade, fair labor, right? So fast fashion also, has contributed to the fact that the fashion industry, you'll see the statistics vary a bit, but 8 to 10% of the world's carbon impact or carbon footprint is coming from the fashion industry. And you'll see numbers, 20% of fresh water pollution, industrial water pollution, is from textile treatment and dyeing. And 5% of the waste that you see in the landfills is textile waste. And so, you just see across the board impacts at every spoke in the wheel of the fashion industry. And so eco-fashion is really our way of, reinventing the industry. And as Albert Einstein once said, we can't solve today's problems with the same consciousness that created those problems. So we have to, through the lens of being solution providers, we have to figure out, how are we able to transform this industry, which is what's happening right now. And people are waking up that, again, social and environmental responsibility are not mutually exclusive with, the design side of the business, that people really, historically how they thought about fashion. It's all about just the way you look, the material side of it. And that's what the fast fashion retailers are really focused on is, let's do these knockoffs of like high fashion and do them so cheap in this disposable type of fabric and let people just, throw away their clothing. And it's horrible. And again, both environmentally and socially, it has compromised humanity in a big way, the fashion world. So business as usual cannot continue.
Is it possible for all of the fashion industry to be transformed?
Well, I've been waiting for this day and time my whole career. So it's like the 25-year overnight success, right? So, I am so thrilled that so many brands and retailers are drinking the proverbial, eco-fashion, sustainability, organic Kool-Aid now. And they realize this is not even about staying ahead anymore. It's about not being left behind. If they don't start integrating, organic, sustainable, socially just policies into their strategies of sourcing and production, and their company cultures, they're going to be out of the game. And I think we're going through definitely a reset in the fashion industry as a whole. And all eyes are on, eco-fashion and sustainability, which is obviously, a moment in time I've been waiting for my whole career. And that's where I believe, Eco-Fashion Corp, which is my current company that I'm founder and CEO of, I think we're, very well poised for growth and success given, timing, as well as the expertise and the knowledge of how to create transparent supply chains and bring that traceability directly from farm to consumer to tell these stories from source to story about, how the work that we're doing benefits the farmers and the workers. This is not a marketing proposition. I mean, my happy place is when I'm in India. We have an office in India and a whole team on the ground there. But when I'm in India and I'm in my farms and I'm in my factories, it's like water for chocolate for me. It's literally the DNA of the work that I do and the why of what I do. It's really, win, win, win. We're building business models and products where everybody wins.
There's a lot of social justice in brands now, which is great to see, where it's not just about, the selling and the profit, where what they do is helping people. And I know that your company has that mission as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm wearing my vote. This is vote for change, vote for Black Lives Matter, vote for LGBTQ community, vote for women equality, vote for so many things that we need to put front and center now. Climate change, our messaging around social justice. I mean, it's who we are. It's in our core DNA, right? Like this is my book, Eco Renaissance, which I wrote and, came out last year. Co-creating a stylish, sexy, and sustainable world. I connect the dots from food to wellness, art, beauty, fashion, and business. And really the core, you could say, principles that wind through every one of those sectors of culture are built on community and collaboration and consciousness and connection and creativity. And so for me, social justice and environmental justice and ultimately climate justice are all interconnected.
The more of us who are out there putting good into the world, more companies that are trying to put better things into the world, use better products, the better we all will be. And as much as people want to say, oh, climate change isn't real, I can promise you that the earth would say differently. And so I'm very grateful for people like you who have, sort of this background of everything, of business, of consciousness raising, who are there doing those type of things. Because that's not like my service in the world. My service is to give you guys a voice through television and digital and things like that. And then your service is to help evolve us through the fashion. What's something you would tell everybody to do when it comes to making sure that what they're picking and what they're putting on their body is the right thing?
Yeah, so the fashion revolution movement, which if anyone wanted to learn more, could check out at fashionrevolution.org, really poses the question, who made my clothes and what's in my clothes? And so that comes down to reading labels, right? Knowing the brands and the products that you're supporting, vote with your dollars, and learn about those brands, because, there is greenwashing going on, unfortunately, whenever there's a growing movement, people jump on that.
Explain a little bit for people who don't understand what that term is.
Yeah.
What is greenwashing?
So because this industry has finally taken root and is starting to grow, you have people that will jump on the bandwagon and try to make claims like, oh, our product is organic, but maybe there's 1% organic cotton because some broker in, across the world in China said, oh yeah, we'll put a tiny bit of organic cotton in your product. And there's no way if it's not a certified product, for this brand to even know. So they might be making claims knowingly or unknowingly that their product isn't really legitimately organic. But because they have 1%, or they think they do, organic, they might say this is an organic shirt, right? So you have to be very discerning, because there are those who are, and we say greenwashing, they're jumping on and making claims that their product is green, environmentally conscious, but it might not necessarily be so. I mean, it might be that they even are using organic cotton, but then in the processing and the dyeing, they're not even thinking twice. So they're ultimately using, the chlorine bleach and the heavy chemicals and the toxic dyes, and that's just as harmful as the cotton itself, right? So in all of my brands, Eco Fashion Corp, so Yes and, Farm to Home, Seed to Style, and at MetaWear, we use the GOTS certification, which stands for the Global Organic Textile Standard, is really our chosen, model for transparency. It is the platinum standard for a finished textile. So it looks at everything from the fiber itself, has to be certified the same way that a food grade product would be, right? So beans, grains, and vegetables, anything else growing in nature that's certified organic, we would follow the same methodologies in organic cotton. But then it's everything that touches the product up the entire supply chain, in terms of every single input, every single manufacturing partner, what their own policies are. They have to segregate the product so there's no contamination. And there is social accountability built into the GOTS standard as well. So safe working conditions, living wages, as well as, no child labor, all fair trade. So we really try to pride ourselves on making sure that we can back up every one of our claims with a certification and a full transparency model.
Things we shouldn't even have to be fighting for in this world. It's fascinating what we have to fight for, common human decency, to, not pump us full of chemicals. Everything is always in service to the corporations and money and profits. And so that's what I always am so grateful for, the people who are aware and awake and trying to change the world. So hats off to you for doing that, and all the things that you do, because it's not just, your companies, you are on the board of so many different places trying to help with climate change or the organic and non-GMO food. You're an influencer as well. And I think that part of this revolution is because there are so many people out there on social media sharing this message, which is a great thing. So please, continue to share that message. I'm going to place some of your website. So Yes And, right, is
Instagram.
your at Instagram. You can follow Yes And. That's one of your brands. That's where your shirt's from, right? The vote shirt.
Correct. And we have about 75 new styles actually that are launching over the next week or two. So there, a lot of beautiful new product, including organic denim, organic sweaters, organic wovens, jumpers, rompers, all kinds of really beautiful, fun stuff.
And you can look at that at joinyesand.com. And then also it's your sheets and your towels, which, I'd like wrap up in the sheets and the towels more than anything. That's my excitement. You actually had a collection on QVC as well.
Yeah. So we launched the Farm to Home brand at the very end of 2019 on QVC. We're revving the engines up, and on January 21st, we have a whole 1-hour show on QVC with a whole new collection of Farm to Home. And we have another new brand launching on QVC a week later on January 29th called Seed to Style, which is going to be our sister organic apparel brand on QVC. And it's going to have sizes extra, extra small all the way up to 3XL. So a super inclusive organic brand that makes, the styling is right on. And then, of course, it's very accessible and very affordable. So therein lies that breaking the stigma mantra.
I love that. And then if you want to follow Marci on Instagram to see all the things that she's doing and all the wonderful things that she's putting out into the world, there is her Instagram at Marci Zaroff. Follow her and get inspired to help change the world, because I know I do when I look at your posts. So thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm excited to, I know you guys are sending me a shirt that says "Be a Nice Human." I mean, it could not be more of a perfect shirt for me, and I will proudly wear that and show it off. So thank you guys, and thanks for all this great information. I really hope that people will get involved and learn about why it's so important, what you spend your dollars on in this world to make sure that we can help heal the planet. So thank you for being here, and thank you everybody for coming with me on the journey every week on Wake Up Well. I'm here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Or you can go to wellworld.tv and you can find every single episode. So take care, everybody.